So box plots. This is the last of the statistical tools that we're going to be learning about, and this one is going to use the median. So a lot of times we have some numbers, some data that we collect, right? Do a survey or collect some numbers of some information, and we want to know how spread out the numbers are, and we want to divide it up into chunks that we can understand. And a box plot does that for us, okay? And so here we go. So I'm gonna throw some new vocabulary at you, and we're just gonna start using it. And I think that way you'll just get comfortable and learn about what these things are. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna talk about is a box plot. A box plot, which is this box thing. Sometimes it's called a box and whiskers plot because it has a box in the middle, right? And it always has these lines at the ends. Guys, these are called the whiskers, like the whiskers on a cat. So a box plot displays data a data distribution using 5 key numbers. Okay, and we're going to define those 5 key numbers. The difference between the first and third quartile is called the interquartile range. So the thing about a box plot is it divides things into quarters. We call them quartiles. Okay, they're fourths. The fourth of the data, a fourth of the data, a fourth of the data, and a fourth of the data. 4 fourths make a whole. So it divides it up into 4 even pieces of chunks. And we call the middle part the interquartile range. Interquartile range. INTERQUARTIL. Interquartile, and then range. RANGE. And if you're looking at a box plot, the interquartile range goes from the beginning of the box to the end of the box. Okay? We're going to find those numbers. So, like we just said, a box plot is divided up into 5 key numbers. And a lot of them we already know. Like the smallest piece of data, the smallest number in your graph, it's called the minimum. So we call it the minimum. Makes sense. The largest piece, the last thing, guess what we call it? If we have a minimum, we're going to have a maximum. Math is logical that way. Okay, so we got a minimum and maximum. Usually, those are the ones we find first because they're easy to find. We got to make sure our data is in order. It's sorted out, least to greatest. Okay, then this one here, the median point, is the median, obviously. We already had a lesson where we had to find the median. It's the midpoint. You take the data numbers and divide them up into 2 equal halves. Okay? Now, the ones that are going to be new to us are the ones that we actually call quartiles. So you have your data, you divide it up into 2 halves, right? And then you divide that first half in half. And the median of the lower half is called the first quartile. First quartile. Typically, we call it Q1. Q1. So quartile is Quartil. And we'll just abbreviate it Q1. So I know it's kind of like, wow, you're throwing so many new words at us. All we're doing is taking numbers and dividing them into piles. That's all we're going to do today. And we're going to make a nice little box graph from that. Okay. So then you have the upper half, the other half of the data, and you divide that in half. So the median of the upper half of the data is called the third quartile. So guess how we abbreviate that? Q3. So in case you're wondering, well, you have a first quartile and a third quartile. What happened to the second quartile? It's the median. The median is the second quartile, but we just call it the median because that's what it is. It's the middle part of the data. Okay? So let's take a quick look at this particular box plot. And we're going to make 5 dots. Let's put a dot here, here, here in that little box in the middle, here at the end of the box, and here at the end of this line segment. So you should have 5 dots. Okay? Now, this is where we find those 5 parts. We have the minimum right here. That's the minimum. We have the maximum over here. We have the median right here. That's the median, where that little vertical line is. This right here is Q3. This dot right there. This dot here is Q1. Okay. So those are the 5 parts. And what this does is it divides your data into chunks of 25%. So 25% of the numbers were like from between, let's say, 2 and 11. Let's say that's going from 2 and 11. 25% of the numbers went from 2 to 11 in the data. 25% of the numbers went from 11 to 15. So I could say 50% of the numbers from 15 that way were 15% or 50% of the numbers, 50%, because this is half of the data, were 15 or smaller. Okay, or say this number here is 16, where Q3 is. Say this is 16. I could say 75% of the data, because this is 25%, 25%, and 25%. 75% of the data was 16 or smaller. So you're just dividing your data into chunks of 25% to make this graph. So what we're going to do is we're going to make some of these with these numbers. Okay? So let's do it. So we're going to use the data below to create a 5-number summary and sketch the box plot. Okay, so here we have the numbers. It says the following data sets represent the number of animal crackers in snack size boxes. So they opened up a bunch of snack size boxes and counted how many crackers were inside. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Looks like they opened up 7 boxes. Okay. So the first thing we better do, the numbers aren't in order. Let's rewrite them in order. So let's do this. We got 34. That's our smallest number. What follows 34? 45. Do we have a 46? No, we have a 47 though. Is that our next number, 47? 47. We have a 48. Then we have 49. Oops. I did two. What did I do there? I put 2 4s, didn't I? And 50. There we go. Mm-hmm. Oh. That would make a difference too. Okay, there are 49, 50. There we go. And let's just count it to make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, we got them all. All right. So here's what we do. What's our? Let's start with a minimum. What's the minimum number? 34. It's always the smallest number once it's in order. That makes 50 the maximum. So we got those. Now for the one in the middle. Let's find the median number. Since we have 7 numbers, we want to count 4 in. 1, 2, 3, 4. 48. That divided our numbers in half. So we have half the numbers below that, half the numbers above that. So now to find Q1, we want to find the median, the middle part of this first half. What's the middle there? 45. So this is the median. This is the middle for this half. This is Q1. And we want to do the same thing to the upper part. So 49 is Q3 because that's the middle of the upper half. Does that make sense? I just divided it up into four even chunks. Okay? So we have those 4 numbers. So now, let's make a box plot. So what we're going to do is we're going to find those 5 numbers, and right above, not on the number line, but above it, we're going to make some dots at those locations. So we're going to look for 34 and put a dot right there. Then we want 45. Wow. There we go. Look for 48. Right there. And then 49 right next to it. And then 50. So go ahead and make those 5 points. Okay? Now, it has to take on this shape. It has to look like this. So the endpoints are going to be part of the whiskers. So I want you to do this. Connect this first dot to the second dot. And connect the 5th dot to the 4th dot. One is super long, one of them is very short, if you notice. That's okay. Okay. So now, for the rest of them, we're going to make the box portion. So draw 3 vertical lines like this. 3 vertical lines. Just 3 lines going up. And then connect them to make a solid box. And we just made a box and whiskers plot. Okay, so this means 25% of the boxes are of crackers are here, 25% are here in this first part of the box, 25% are here, and then 25% are there. Okay, it just shows us how the data is spread out, and it looks like it's more concentrated in the numbers like 40. Half of the numbers were like 48 or larger, so it was concentrated here and more spread out there. Okay. Any questions? So today in Delta, that's the main thing we're going to be doing is making these box and whisker plots from some data. Except they're going to be kind of nice. They're already going to have it sorted out for you. All right. So ready to move on to the second one? Okay, guys, here we go. Second one, here we go. The following data represents the number of hours a small candle will burn. So I got to write those numbers. I'm not going to fit them here. Let's write them over here. So I'm just going to write them down in order to save us some time. 7, 8. Then I have 2 9s. Then I have 10. Then I have 2 11s. Then I have 12, 14, 15 comes up twice, 16, and 19. Okay. So this is how many hours some random candles burned. So they burned anywhere from 7 hours up to 19 hours. Okay, and everything in between. So there's 13 numbers here. Hopefully we have the same number here. 10, 11, 12, 13. Yep, got them all. All right. So let's write down our numbers. What's the minimum? A 7. And the maximum's always easy to find. It's at the very end on the other end. 19. Okay. So that means our range was 19 minus 7. It was 12. It was a 12-hour range between the how long the candles would last. Okay. Now let's see. The median. Since I got 13 numbers, that would make the 7th number the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. 7, 11. Okay. So this number here is the median. 11. So let's write it down for our median. It's 11. Okay. Now, notice, look at this bottom half, guys. How many numbers are in the bottom half? Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We got 6 numbers. So if we find the midpoint between those numbers, where is it? Yeah, it's between the 9s. This is where Q1 is. So what's between 9 and 9? 9. If you're not sure, you can do that little trick we talked about for finding medians. You add the 2 numbers and divide by 2. This would give us 18 divided by 2, which is 9. So it is 9. But you just use common sense. Between 9 and 9, there's nothing there other than 9. So it's 9. Okay. Let's find the midpoint here for the upper half. Oh, sorry. So we got 6 numbers. You go 3 in. Between 15 and 15 is, so same thing. We got a 15 here. So now we got all the numbers we need. All we have to do is find those points and make our box plot. Okay. So we want 7 right there. Then we want 9 and 11, 15, 19, there we go. There's our 5 points. Okay, let's make our whiskers. The whisker goes here and at the other end. So the whiskers go like so. Okay? And then let's make some vertical lines. Okay? And make the box. So I got the whisker. So 50% of the numbers go from what to what? From 7 to 11. Half of the numbers came from here. And the other half went from 11. So the top 50% of the numbers were from 11 to 19. Okay? All right. So here's what I want you to do next. Identify those important numbers here. Start with a minimum. What's our minimum? 11's our minimum. Let's find, what would you say the maximum is? About 18 is good. The median's easy to find. The median is 14. How about Q1? Let's go with 12. That sounds good. And then we want 16. Let's go with 16 there. That was easy, right? So we know how to read the numbers. And just remember, each chunk of this is 25% of your data. Okay? All right. Let's only answer. Is anyone else writing this? I want to make sure we have. Because I'm going to flip this over. Yes. Oh, a little bit. Sorry, we got off to a late start. Okay. So let's try this. Use your knowledge of box plots to answer the questions below. Christina conducts a poll to determine the number of colleges high school seniors applied to. She creates a box plot to represent the information. Okay? Determine the range of the numbers. So our numbers go from what to what? Guys, come on, focus on this. What's the range? From what to what? What's our largest? What's our smallest? 9 and 0. So what's 9 minus 0? 9. Okay, so the range was 9. Remember, you take the maximum minus the minimum. What is the median? 6. So 6 colleges was the middle number. What is the interquartile range? Ooh, okay. Well, here's Q1. Here's Q2, or Q3 rather. It's 8 to 4. So what is the range there? 4. Ah, okay. So which quartile? Remember, a quartile is divided up, is anything between two adjacent dots, two connect. Which quartile represents the greatest spread? Greatest spread. Which one spread out the most? The first, second, third, or fourth? First one. If we notice, it spread out the most. Okay? Okay. At this point, we're going to go ahead and go to delta because we're going to do a few examples together. And I want to make sure we have time for that. So we won't do the bottom part since we had a late start on this. But go to your Chromebooks and open up Delta Math, please.